Hello there and welcome. My name is Stuart Goldsmith and this is my infinite sofa with the help of these members of the public and a Muppet called David Hoare. And listen, that is not a slam. Let's just establish this. The whole point of this project is effectively to create my own Muppet show in which I can be Kermit. David, I think you are. Do you know who you are? You're Scooter. You're just going to have to go over that. In an email recently, someone got in touch with me and said, I don't know that someone got in touch with me. They replied to a mail out I was saying to try and advertise, promote the show. And they said, really, Kermit, I always had you down as more of a Scooter. I've removed them from the mailing list. It's lovely to have you all here. Let's meet some of my people. But before we're going to do that, I'm just going to tell you that you are watching The Infinite Sofa via infinitesofa.com on, and this is what I usually say, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, YouTube, that's what we call it in the north, YouTube Live, and twitch.tv, which is live anyway. But one thing we are considering doing is switching the whole shebang to Twitch. So if you are currently watching on YouTube, Callum, bob in and tell me if you think this is a terrible idea. If you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, you could sort of stop and go over to Twitch just so that we can work out whether you find that user experience to be fun or whether you consider it a big fat waste of time. Now, once again, I can hear myself slightly doppelgangered. Yeah, I think it's gone now, but I'm just not sure. Apologies for muting you, Anne-Marie. Let's meet the gang. Here are the, I was going to say the contents of my infinite sofa. I feel that's... so say hello to Leslie, ladies and gentlemen. This is Leslie.
Hiya.
Where you're watching the show from, Leslie?
South London.
From South London. Now, I forgot. I thought it was somewhere more interesting because you've got a fun accent. You're from New Jersey, right?
I am,
Which do you consider more stabby as a place?
Sorry? Which is more stabby?
Yeah.
I mean, New Jersey, but if I go a mile up the road to Lewisham, It's the same.
I got a mile up the road, Leslie. This is James B. Hey, James, how you doing? I remember when Rob Deering was on the show recently, you were in the audience and he complimented you on your cream-coloured base. Whereabouts are you watching? Do we guess from your hat that it's Canada or from the sign above the wall that it's inside a Pepsi factory?
From Mississauga, which is a suburb of Toronto.
Mississauga, which is a suburb of Toronto. That is so impressive. Surely no one can top that. Ian, where are you watching from?
Waltham Cross.
Well, there it is. So, very pleased to welcome back Sam and Roz to the show. Roz, is it Roz or Ross? It's Roz, isn't it? There's only
Roz.
one there. What do you guys do with yourselves? Remind me.
I work for Just Eat. I'm a web engineer, essentially.
A web engineer for Just Eat. And Roz, dare we dream that you do anything as exciting?
No, nothing as exciting as that. I'm a lab technician in a genetics laboratory at Southmead Hospital in Bristol.
Bloody hell. Ian, make it excited. Don't wipe your nose, Ian. Jonathan, no, we'll move on. We'll come back to Jonathan. Jonathan's been giving me grief before the show started. Eamon, what are you most looking forward to about tonight's show?
Oh, Shappi Khorsaandi. It's the only reason I'm here.
Oh, well, one in the eye there for all of my other guests, and they include Kirsty Newton doing some fabulous musical comedy for us, Guy Montgomeery, who's got up very early in the morning in his native New Zealand, and also, that's not his act. He doesn't just get up early. I was unaware. But also, we have the incredible Matt Ricardo, and Matt is actually going to start the show with a quick trick for us now. So, Matt, if you can warm up your video and your audio, let's welcome with a huge round of applause, Matt Ricardo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to show you. I'm going to angle my camera down a little bit, whoops, so that you can see what I'm doing. So, glass. I got these plexiglass sheets. They're just plexiglass sheets, like you have. More glasses. Plexiglass sheet. Tiny tablecloth. Lovely. And then, the finishing touch. Today we're using a rather lovely abalur. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. Now I'm going to angle the webcam up because I'm going to stand up. Okay. I have to stress at this point, this may not work. Genuinely, whatever happens, it is spectacular. So, okay. Knife.
Whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Matt Ricardo. Absolutely fantastic. Despite a slightly tenuous web connection there, in which many of us were thinking this will be funny if it does go tits up and freezes at perfectly the right moment. That was absolutely great. Although part of me, I have to say, part of me was absolutely desperate for you simply to just keep putting things on top of other things.
Until we all get bored.
Matt, will you come back and show us something even more impressive at the end of the show?
I shall, and I will have drunk this by then. So,
Pay for. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Matt Ricardo. What I will say, ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further, I've got to meet everyone in the chat. And David, can you make a note to remind me of this? Because I always forget to open the Restream chat so that I can see all the people that are watching and what they're saying. So if you are in the chat and you've said something in the first few minutes, I can't see it because Restream isn't allowing me to see it. Perhaps if there's anything particularly fun, producer Callum could add something to the live message for me and we'll reply to that. However, if you want to be on the sofa next time, if you want to be in the room being sort of abused in a variety of ways, evening all, says John Daintree, it's the first bit of official chat. If you want to be on the sofa next time, you can donate at infinitesofa.com. Plus, at 9:30 tonight, the biggest donor so far gets to teleport into the show and join us in time for our celebrity interview. Please remember, on whatever format you're watching, to share the video you're watching with as many people as possible. And if you're watching it on Facebook, share it on a friend's page and then ask them to comment it or start a watch party. Do all of those awful things that are to do with engagement. Coming up soon, we've got Guy Montgomeery, and in a moment we are going to meet the fabulous Kirsty Doody. But before then, I thought we'd play a little game with the people on my sofa. People on the sofa, if we can have a long shot of you, are you up for a lovely game?
Yeah.
Yes, Stuart.
Now, so far, Jonathan, don't be a drag, you bit. James went for a double over the head thumbs up. Ian went for a double over the head thumbs up. And everyone, oh, thank you very much, Jonathan. I appreciate that we finally got a thumbs up out of you. James, we haven't chatted to you much this evening. What have you been up to today, James? What have you done with your day?
Not very much. I've been watching the Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix.
Oh, nice. Excellent. What have you learnt?
That he was very good.
Nice. That is quality content. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to the gallery view now. We're going to play a quick game of Duck, Duck, Goose. Does anyone remember that from being a child?
Yeah.
The way it works is very simple. I'm going to spotlight you, and I'm going to say duck, and then I'm going to spotlight someone else, and I'm going to say duck. And eventually, when I spotlight someone, I will say goose. And that person has to get up, run around their chair, and sit down again. Now, I can already tell before we start that someone needs to be muted. So I have now muted everybody to prevent that echo happening. And I'm going to unmute you all one by one. As I do that, multitasking, doing a work thing too, says Neil in the chat. Funky Junkie switched from Facebook and apparently has had no problems with it. Neil says, who's got my seat? Well, to be honest, Neil, we left an empty seat with your name on it. And repeating for Stu, taking the show off other platforms seems silly, says Dave Nats. Less chance for new people to discover the show, and not everyone wants to install a new app just to watch one show. Multi-platform for the win. Well, Dave, later on in a different context, I'll tell you why we're considering it, and we'll get stuck into that. James's audio is back on. Sam and Roz's audio is back on. It can't be Ian's audio. He's here all the time. Let's all listen to Eamon's audio. Let's all listen to Eamon. No, I think we're absolutely fine. So listen, let's get cracking because we've spent too long buggering around. So we're going to play Duck, Duck, Goose, ladies and gentlemen. Here it goes. I will now spotlight you and say duck or goose. If it's goose, you have to run around your chair and sit down. Presumably there's some way to determine a winner, but we haven't thought that far ahead. Duck.
Duck.
You don't need to say duck.
Anything.
Duck. Don't say anything. Duck. Goose. Run around your chair. Quick, do it now.
I can't room around my chair.
Or running your chair around you.
Duck. Simon said, no, sorry, my fault. Duck. Goose. I'm not having that. I think that is exactly what we needed to save us from a game I'm going to describe as moribund. But fun. Although, sorry, Eamon, could you just hit us back with that fabulous prop? We almost missed your fabulous prop.
Oh,
Looks like this guy's brought a swan to a game of Duck, Duck, Goose.
It's a goose. How dare you?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to crack on with the next fantastic guest. Are you ready for a lovely guest?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Mel Matthews says, Reiki, me too. I'd be nervous. And before we welcome, I just want to cover this. This is important. Ray in NYC says, I'd be too nervous to be on the sofa. I do love the fact that I've gotten invites, but I'd rather just watch. And I cannot stress this enough. If you donate to the show to support the show because it makes you feel less alone or you enjoy it or it makes you happy in some way in what my wife is calling Panny D, that's the pandemic, then, oh my goodness, I pressed the wrong button again and attempted to mute people. I'm terribly sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We are having a repetitive echo issue, which I just can't seem to solve. So apologies for the break in rhythm there. I'm just pointing out that my wife is referring to the pandemic as the Panny D in a way I don't think is fine, but I do enjoy it in a kind of way. And she's upstairs and often watches live during the show. Sorry! With that in mind, whatever the hell I was talking about. Oh, that's it. I cannot stress enough that if you're watching the show and you feel moved to donate, but you're scared because you don't want to be on the show because you consider me, in the words of Russell Hare, to be designed by Tim Burton, Russell Howard, I should say. Did I say Russell Hare? I was wondering whether the reference would come across, so I called Russell Howard Russell Hare. And now people are starting talking in the chat, and I'm assuming it's slagging me off. Fine. My point being, if you'd like to donate, but you don't want to appear on the show because you think it's too scary, or you're feeling shy, or you just want to support the show, you can bloody well donate at infinitesofa.com, just like everybody else. And don't feel for a moment like you have to accept the invite if you're sent the invite. So all of the money goes towards making the show good. And when the show is good, and when the show works as an entity and the engine is running, then we can start paying acts. I know, acts don't check. So, ladies and gentlemen, time for an act. Should we invite Kirsty Newton to the show? Kirsty Newton is one of my absolute favourite musical comedians, and if she is about to appear in a way that will make me relax, that would be great. If she isn't, perhaps she is dealing with her dog or husband. Who knows? In the meantime, oh, hello. I think we've got her. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome with enormous love and applause, Kirsty Newton.
Hey.
Kirsty, how are you?
Dealing with my dog.
What is the name of the child?
He's called Adelaide because we got him from Adelaide.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Has something happened to your audio in the meantime, Kirsty? You seem considerably quieter now than when we teched about half an hour ago.
I have not changed it.
Well, during that sentence, it got better. So I think we just need an upward inflection, and that solves everything.
Like I'm from Australia?
Yeah, but it's when you mentioned Adelaide, actually. I think that's what caused the whole thing. Kirsty, how are you doing? You are in the fabulous town. We said this town's name earlier on, and I can never remember it.
Hebden Bridge.
Hebden Bridge. Hebden Bridge. Is it fun? Is it a fun place to live? Me and my wife drove through there many years ago, and it seemed spooky and quiet and full of murderers, but I understand it's lovely.
We moved back here about 2 years ago, and it is brilliant. In fact, just before I got on here, I just spotted an otter outside those doors. So
you spotted an otter?
Awesome.
Like a real otter in the actual wild?
Full of wildlife around here, like this one.
Oh, how lovely. What is Adelaide's reaction to the otter? Did Adelaide spot the otter?
No, she was downstairs preparing.
Oh dear, you are getting very quiet. I think, Kirsty, if I can ask you to launch into a song, then let's cut the chit chat a-hole, as they say. Thanks, mate. Hey, look at that. Was that Nick Doody in the background?
Yes, it was.
Get him out of that room.
Right, can you hear that? Can you hear everything?
Yep. Yes, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
I'm going to play you an oldie, but it's my favourite one because it's the song I've received the most complaints about. So here we go. Sally always wished she had someone there to share the good times and the bad. Frequently she felt her life was lacking something fundamental. She longed for the sibling love she never had. So one day she went and asked her dear old mama why she ended up alone, the only child. But she wasn't ready for the explanation. When her mama sat her down, then she smiled. You ate your twin. Weren't sure if you were evil or just needed more room. You ate your twin. Now Sally never asked no one no questions anymore. It's jolly fun. And he was a quiet boy who never fitted in. Nobody knew why he was so depressed. His secret brother Cletus died when he was still a fetus. It's the reason Danny never gets undressed. He ate his twin. Well, he kind of just absorbed him, so it's not all doom and gloom. He ate his twin. Ooh, that's why Danny's shoulder has a nose, one ear, and several teeth. Now, all left-handed folks out there, please raise up your hands. I'm going to put you on gallery view so I can see you. Huh. Well, I've got something to tell you. You need to understand. There's a scientific theory that you started off as two. There's no point in denying it, cause we're all onto you. Sing it them. You ate your twin in the womb. Don't
sing along.
Got away with it. Those siblings you consumed. You ate your twin in the womb. That's why you can't use scissors, cause your brother was your food. You ate your twin in the womb. I knew you lot was sinister, and now we've got the proof. You ate your twin in your own mother's womb. Now everybody knows all you weird left-handed folks are disgusting, dirty cannibals.
Kirsty Newton, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Kirsty. That was absolutely fantastic, and we all learned a valuable lesson about sing-alongs not working in this technology. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. What are you promoting at the moment? Can we plug something for you?
Because I've not been doing anything except being a puppy mum, which takes up all my lockdown time. It's a very good distraction from the shit that's going on.
You mean the otter?
I've just signed up to the Lost Comics, which is a huge collection of pro comics who are making guerrilla videos, and they've got, go and check them out because it's brilliant. Full of really funny, brilliant little videos made by very funny people. And I have to make one before Monday each, so watch out for that.
Happy days. And can we find that? That's on YouTube. Is it YouTube/The Lost Comics?
And Facebook, yeah, the Lost Comics.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to stick around and join in. Oh, in fact, I tell you what, Kirsty, if you have a moment, something I quite enjoy asking guests to do, I'd like you to judge the house of someone in the audience. And I feel like I'm sort of trying, I don't want to sort of pick on people who've already, Ian did a cracking job of talking us through his cupboard and the slightly unsavory items. I think it's only fair because there's two of them. Let's just check out Sam and Roz. Kirsty, if we could just ask Sam and Roz, can you show us the thing in your room that you're most proud of?
Oh, that's the posters behind us.
No, well, yes, probably is the posters behind us.
I can't read what's on the posters. What's on there?
They are
lovely.
They're book covers from the 1970s novelizations of the films of Star Wars.
Wow.
They're not real, are they? Are they a hipster art project or are they real?
They're a hipster art project.
Over to celebrity judge Kirsty. What do you think of that? Is that pretty cool, or what do you think?
I think it's on that cusp, isn't it? It's kind of cool, but it's slightly uncool because it's trying to be cool.
Maybe. What was that second thing you showed us just there? Did you show us a sort of diorama of some sort?
I did, but I don't know if you. Ooh. That is the Battle of Helm's Deep. In Lego.
Recreated in Lego. Well, I'm a huge fan of that. Well done, Sam and Roz. I think that's great. Kirsty, out of 10, how cool are Sam and Roz? Out of 10, please.
I think I'm going to give him a solid 8.5.
Solid 8.5. Very nice. Well done.
I'll take that.
Roz, ladies and gentlemen. And let's give it up, please, for Kirsty Newton. Thanks so much for coming. In the chat, Mr. Hardacre says it seems like a reworking of Stephen King's The Dark Half, which it does, but that is a massive spoiler if you've not read the book. Maggie says clap, clap, clap. Run, Fab Girl, run, says loved it. Neil says a blast from the past. Neil P, of course, you know Neil. David Shutter says definitely feels like Zoom trying to be far too clever for its own good. I don't know if that's a heckle of us or the technology, who knows. And we've put a link there, youtube.com/The Lost Comics, to catch up with Phil Nickel, Kirsty Newton, and numerous brilliant comics. Fatboy Swab says the posters are cool. And Dave Natz, always one to pipe in with some technological opinions, says ultimately it's built for conferencing, not comedy shows. Yeah, thanks, Buzzkill. A teckle, if you will. That's a very good point. Will Reynolds says Sam and Roz are amazing, but he does misspell Roz's name even though it's on the screen. So level of people who think you're great. And Mr. Hardacre suggests that a technological heckle should be a teckle. I think that's pretty good. I like
Love
it.
it.
It's a little bit when I said it, I felt a bit like Giles Brandreth, so I don't know if it's. but I think it's out there. It's sort of broadly good that it's in the world. Mark Doody on YouTube says, "Well done keeping Nick off camera. There can't be that many Doodies in the world." Would you like to just enlighten us, Kirsty? Presumably, is that a relative or?
Yeah, that's Nick's cousin.
Nick's cousin. Very good. Well, excellent. Well done, Mark Doody, for heckling someone that wasn't even on the show. There's probably a word for that, a sort of remote tackle. But again, thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do now, you've got a couple of minutes left to teleport in. If you would like to donate to the show, to be in with a chance of supporting the show. If you'd like to be in with a chance of appearing on the sofa in the next show, which is on Monday, and I'm just going to quickly tell you who's on that show. Our celebrity guest is James Acaster, and he is going to be having his mind read by request. He was like, "Yeah, I'd quite like a mind reader," and he's got like a plaque that can achieve that sort of thing, especially if he's a lovely man and a good friend. James is going to be having his mind read by bloody Nick Mohammed. Nick Mohammed, he's going to be reading James Acaster's mind. We've also got Katie Pritchard doing some wonderful madcap lunatic musical comedy. We have a little special treat. We have the Silhouettist, who you can find on Instagram @Silhouettist, who's a wonderful roving artist called Charles, who is going to be making silhouettes of everyone during the show. And we also have Mike Kaplan, who is a brilliant, brilliant comic, one of those kind of genius technical comedian, brilliant joke writers from America. And he's going to be here too. So, with that in mind, if you would like to donate for a chance to do that, or if you would like simply to support the show, you can do that via infinitesofa.com. Please do that in your hundreds of thousands. The more you give, the more we have, etc., etc. And I've stolen this line from Pete Bobbing, one of the world's most technically effective street performers. Do not give what you think it's worth. Give the maximum you can afford. Okay. We're going to hear from Guy Montgomery in a minute, but while he switches on his technology, I've got a bit of a question, and I'm going to ask this to the chat and to the people in the room. I would like to know, one of the options we have for next Thursday's show, where the headline guest is going to be Ramesh Ranganathan, one of the options is that Marky J, who you'll remember from the plate spinning on episode 1 and the fork and the watermelon, the garden fork and the watermelon trick a few episodes ago, I said, "Would you like to come back and do something else?" And he said, "Can I shave my wife's head?" Now, I should point out his wife is also a fabulous circus performer. She's very, very stylish, and she looked rad with a shaved head. She's up for it. It's not like, "Can I sneak into her room and shave my wife?" However, what we thought would be quite nice is if Ramesh were to commentate on Mark shaving his wife's head sort of throughout the show, or certainly kind of, do a kind of judging thing at the end. And he said as a finale at the end, he could peroxide it. Now, I don't know enough about hair, Tim Burton, to know whether that's a good idea or whether it could go horribly wrong somehow. Do you think we should do it?
Yes.
Horribly wrong
I think
is
you
good.
can't shave and then peroxide. there has to be hair.
1 second, Jonathan. Let me spotlight you. Do go on.
I'm not sure you can both shave it and then peroxide it. I think that's just bleaching the scalp. I think one or the
exactly
other.
the sort of intel I wanted to crowdsource from you. Thank you, Jonathan. Now, if we go to... oh, hello. Someone's talking and their voice is... I can't see anyone's voice talking, but I can hear someone going, doing very strange things. Is that Anne-Marie again? Bless you. If it's you, Anne-Marie, I'm sorry. You're going in the waiting room. And then
I'm glitching in and out. I had my head yesterday by my daughter.
Can anyone tell who's talking?
Like you.
Is it Kirsty? It can't be Kirsty. She's muted. It can't be Holly. This is a good... Okay, let's turn this into a feature. Who the fuck is talking?
I can't work it out.
Ventriloquist.
David, any ideas?
I can't work it out for love nor money.
Hands up if you're talking.
That was a great...
And then fucking talk if you're making the comment before. Pardon my French. So.
That was a great attempt to flush them out, but stay off the wine, Jonathan. Now...
Shall I readmit Anne-Marie?
Yeah, I'll readmit Anne-Marie. That sounded, the way I pronounced it, sounded like it was a sort of East End code threat. I'll readmit Anne-Marie in a minute. Readmit Anne-Marie. What an odd thing. Well, Anne-Marie's back. Hello. Oh, God, I thought that was... I don't know if you can see Anne-Marie's face there if we just take a long view. It's actually a very nice promotional shot of her looking up at Rapture.
Yeah.
But I thought, actually, I'd welcomed her back in as she was going, Jesus. Turned out not to be the case. We should probably get Guy on, but I'm slightly concerned that there was a weird Doppely thing and we never got to the bottom of it. So I tell you what, let's pick it back up with a quick round of Get a Thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to count to 3. When I get to 3, I'd like you to get up, run and get the most expensive portable object in your room and bring it back. The last person to get back with the most expensive object in their room gets kicked into the waiting room for a tin bin 1 minute. 1, 2, 3, go. As they're doing that, let's go over to the chat. Someone is just... Was that you, James? Did you make a siren noise happen because you wanted to win? There are no winners.
That was me. Apologies.
Good
I
God.
looked up my bike's air horn.
Is everyone back? Sarah isn't back yet. James isn't back. It's down to James and Sarah. Sarah and James. James and Sarah. Who's going to be back? Who's going to be back with something expensive? James is back. Oh, and they've sat... Well, no, Sarah's sitting first. I'll tell you what we'll do. Sarah and James, you were the last back, so show us, please, your impressive item. Sarah, what have you got for us?
I realise it's really stupid because I've got a laptop, but like I'm watching it on a laptop. So
I really like the cognitive dissonance of that, because when you held up the laptop, I can't speak for anyone else, but I felt a bit seasick. I was like, and James, and this is for being kicked into the sin bin for a minute. What have you got?
I've got
Bloody Wally. I'm so sorry, Sarah. You can come back in about 30 seconds. Show us that Wally again there. Look at that. James, can you do an impression of the voice?
Wally.
Oh, that was wonderful. Give it up for James, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to admit, Sarah, as long as it's quiet. Let's check out some of these. What have you got, Eamon? Did you win something? What is this?
This is my Dave Award from Edinburgh.
Wait a minute. I've seen a Dave Award and they don't look like that. What is it?
No. This is a different Dave Award. This is Chancer in Edinburgh. It goes around reviewing shows in Edinburgh in exchange for pints.
That really is, Eamon. That is, I don't know how the extent to which people watching this are familiar with the Edinburgh Festival.
Sorry, Derek Award.
That is the Edinburgh Festival in distillation. That's the purest possible form of the Edinburgh Festival. Some bloke goes around offering awards in return for pints. That's effectively how the whole thing works. Wait a minute, what's this?
Whoa!
I've got an idea for a new feature. Look at that.
Literally wall to wally.
Oh, very good, Eamon. Thank you. But that's a new thing. Look at that. Look at that. That's wonderful. Look at this wonderful collection of robots. Who else has got a thing? Jonathan, you look like you've got something interesting there.
That's my wife's jewellery, which normally sits just behind me. And it's not expensive, but it's beautiful and bought with love. And apparently, you can't have too much of everything.
I don't know if you're in the diamond business, but I respectfully contend that is an absolutely superb advertising slogan for the super rich. I also love how you've made all the expensive things in the house portable for the sake of a burglar convenience. Thank you very much. David, did you bother participating in the game?
I ran to the fridge and got a beer because it's the only thing I can afford.
Fuck me. Right. Let's work out. Ian, what did you get? You've got something good, I'm sure.
It's a bit. Actually, that's better.
What is that? A minute. I'm going to guess what that is, Ian. My first thought was a hard drive, and then I thought a sort of platinum disc and an award. But I think it's actually a pair of electronic scales, such as a drug dealer would have.
Yes. Yeah, it's not for drug dealing. It's not for drug dealing.
I mean, that's absolutely what I'd say. What is it for? What can you tell us?
I need to change the battery in it, so I brought it upstairs to try and find a battery.
But Holly, I've got to commend you, Holly. You're frowning, which suggests you've really been paying attention, or you're watching something in a second window. Holly, what object did you bring back? I think she's watching something in a second window. So what I'm going to do there is, spotlit Holly, I'm going to go to speak of you, take a screen grab of this, and put it on the website. Good. Listen to all of you. I think there's just one left for now. Let's find out. Matthias, what did you get? What's your expensive item?
It's whiskey from 1986.
Ooh.
Am I right in thinking, Matthias, that that's the remains of some whiskey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Answer this question if you can. How expensive are you at the moment?
Not that much.
You're about that expensive. Cracking work. Well, I liked all of that, but let's have a huge round of applause, particularly for James, who was the winner of that with his original Wally. Well done, James. Oh, I'm so sorry. I missed. I beg your pardon. I missed other James. Other James, what did you get? What have you got?
It literally is the most expensive portable thing in my room is my cell phone, which was like $1,300 Canadian. Cell phones are crazy expensive.
And that is quite a lot in real money. So, what we're doing now, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to go over at last. Thank you. We've got him out of bed very early in the day because he's all the way in bloody New Zealand. It's Guy Montgomeery, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Oh wow, yeah.
Guy, what have you? How are you coping? How is New Zealand? Your prime minister is apparently the best out of all the prime ministers, and I think I'm right in saying my wife is sexually attracted to her. So
yeah, you are. I get all sorts of really nefarious, quite grisly emails from your wife detailing the disgusting things she'd love to do to our prime minister. Morale is pretty high in New Zealand, actually. We've been quarantining for 4 weeks, and there's 2 more at a slightly lower level, and then perhaps a sweet taste of literally anything that isn't my house.
What is your house? Who are you? Are you living with people? Are you alone?
I am living with my partner, and half of the time we have her beautiful daughter. So co-parenting is still allowed inside of quarantine, and then our housemate Bella. And we all get along so good. And moreover, they can hear me right now.
Tell us if you can, and feel free to use code or simply gesture. Tell us if you can. That sounds to me like with all due respect to my own children, to be able to have a child sometimes seems like the absolute best deal for quarantine, because without mine I'd go mad, but with mine I'm going mad. And if I could sort of have them for half the time, and I think they're asleep, but that really sounds fantastic. Is that working?
Absolutely. If you are asking for permission to leave your wife, it is granted from this corner. You only have to go through the minor inconvenience of totally changing your personal situation, but the co-parenting situation, they're 2 very different experiences of isolation. Half of the time it's so leisurely, time stretches out forever in front of you, and the other half you are, in essence, at the mercy of the whims of a 4.5-year-old.
Mercy of the whims. Might I suggest that would make a really terrible book title? Guy, just while we're on the subject of my fabulous wife and how great she is, I know that she sends you her love because you are one of her favourites, and we love you very much. So I just want to stress, because she is almost certainly watching, that hey, babe, listen, I love you, right? And it's just because Guy's one of our besties and we think he's great, that's why I thought I could be. I mean, we probably know what anyway. Okay, so back to Guy. Guy, before we ask you to share with us your incredible thing, I won't spoil it, and the incredible thing you're going to share, I'd like you briefly to just tell us about the worst idea of all time, because it remains one of my favourite ideas of all time. So just for anyone that doesn't know what it is, can you give us a quick blast?
Yeah, with pleasure. It's a podcast that I co-host with friend and fellow comic Tim Batts, wherein it's a movie review podcast where the movie never changes. So we watch and review the same movie every week for a year to really get down to the nuts and bolts of what makes it tick as an operation. And we started with Grown Ups 2, the blockbuster and critical smash. We moved on to Sex and the City 2, a 2.5-hour romantic romp through the Middle East that could not get permission to shoot in the Middle East, so it was filmed in Morocco. We spent the lost year, I would call it, watching We Are Your Friends, EDM movie starring Zac Efron, which was a disaster, both as a film and a season of the podcast. And we then dug it back up to watch Sex and the City 1 last year. All of these were horrible decisions. This year we've branched into slightly different facets of film review. We did a mini-series called Our Week with Cats. We went and watched Cats at the cinema day for a week. And we did Dr. Do More, where we went and watched Dr. Dolittle 3 times in one day at the same cinema.
Oh no!
Oh god!
Yeah.
Thanks,
One
Guy.
of the most surreal experiences actually was when we were doing Doolittle. I mean, this thing was bombing at the box office. And the third screening, we'd gone to get some food from the food court in between screenings. There was this beautiful little 10-minute grace period. And we walked in, and there was no one else had bought a ticket. We had the cinema to ourselves, but the movie had started playing. Like, I've often wondered about this. We walked into a movie that was 3 minutes in, playing full blast to a cinema of no one. It was surreal.
Oh, mate, it just every time I think of what you've subjected yourself to, yourself and Tim Bass, I cry laughing. Thank you so much for making such a terrible thing happen in the world.
It's a pleasure.
Right, I'm going to give you the choice here because we just had another person join the waiting room. Is that the teleportee? Can you let me know, Callum? Just talk in my ear. No, Callum's muted himself, and we do not have that information. But I think with me having forgotten to do the teleportation thing,
I think it is.
Janine, aka Lady Nutmeg, just donated £36.74. Can we have a huge? No, in fact, let's not. Clapping, you idiot. What we'll do? Shall we invite her in, and then you do the rest of your bit?
With pleasure.
Let's do that. Every time you say pleasure, I really just want to say they actually talk like that. It's just so lovely. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen. Where is Janine? She's down here. Whoop, she's over there. She's moved. I'm going to ask her to unmute. Hello, Janine. Thank you so much for joining us. I've tried to spotlight you, but it didn't work. Well, how's your connection, Janine? Let's find out. Janine's connection appears to be wobbly at best. This really is one of the moments when the technology is absolutely paramount. And as I showboat going, oh, hello, she's back. We'll just try that. Janine, can you see or hear the rest of us?
Hello.
Well, we can hear Janine. Thank you so much. Thanks for being part of the show. Janine, are you in a fit state to go and grab the? I'm not getting your video, but I feel like we saw you enough to see what you looked like. Can you hear what I'm saying? Can you respond? And back to Guy Montgomery, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try and spotlight Janine for the last time, and we'll see if it works. Working, Janine. I'm so sorry. But there we are. There she is.
Yay.
Hey. Thank you, Janine. Listen, I know that you've tried to applaud her twice, and I've told you off on both occasions. Can you please welcome Janine with a huge round of applause? Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Janine, where are you? Where are you in the world?
I'm in Brisbane.
You're in Brisbane. Fucking yes.
Australia. Brisbane.
It's so early in Brisbane.
It's so early in Brisbane. How early is it in Brisbane?
Well, I thought you were on an hour earlier, so I've been up for a while. Now,
oh my
quarter
God.
to 7 in the morning.
Oh, no. You're an absolute hero.
I just had to get out of bed and put some clothes on when I saw your link.
What do you do for a living, Janine? What do you do with yourself? I think we're going to have to accept there's a delay.
I'm a business improvement specialist, but I've just been made, my contract has ended, so I'm gainfully unemployed.
My Lord.
Can I please say
yes.
A hello to my little sister who's watching in London?
Okay.
Hi, Nat.
Wow, that's so great. Thank you so much, Janine. Thank you for your very kind donation. You will be in the draw for next week with James Acaster, so we hope to see you back then. Do stick around with us. We're now going to hop over to Guy Montgomery to hear something intelligent and perspicacious about how we should deport ourselves during the lockdown. Here's Guy Montgomery.
Thanks, Stu. I just want to say that was a real joy. The good thing for all of us is that comedy is not about momentum. So that little glitch we had is absolutely fine. I'll just power on. So what I've done with the reams of time I have on my hands, half of the time, is I've compiled a list, the A through Z, of healthy eating in quarantine. Obviously, it's a difficult time for everyone to eat exactly what they like. And so I've compiled what I think will be a pretty useful list of foods that you could sort of have to ensure that you have a healthy mind, body, and soul. I'll begin at A, which is famously the first letter in the alphabet. A is for, perhaps that's what A is best known for, isn't it, really, if you think about it? It is, it's always up there. I don't know why the letters are in the order they are. like, I don't know who chose that. We should have arranged some, something that makes a bit more sense, like shortest to tallest. But anyway, A is for avocado. Have a lovely avocado. It's a superfood and a super food. B is for Brussels sprouts. You're talking about the comeback story of the decade, huh? Total wash. Now they're all over the place. C is for corn. I don't know why we continue to eat corn in spite of the overwhelming amount of evidence that our bodies quite simply cannot digest the stuff. Corn has bigger plans than being eaten by us when you look at it in the toilet and it looks back at you like, don't you dare flush this thing. Me nuts and seeds have got big plans. D is for dried apricots. A lot of my apricot heads would have been furious that they didn't get the nod on the letter A, so I've snuck them in on a technicality. E is for egg. Have yourself a lovely egg. Great source of high quality protein, really good food. F is for fried egg. A lovely fried egg. G is for guava, which is a fun fruit to say and a lovely fruit to eat. H is for hard-boiled egg. Up an egg, really solidify that yolk up. I is for ice cream. You've been doing so well so far. Have yourself a lovely treat. Why not have a bite of ice cream? J is for jalapenos. Not a main dish, but a lovely garnish. So add a bit of punch to whatever you're eating. K is for kidney beans. Not my favorite bean, but they do start with a K. L is for lettuce. Yep, it's sort of a bit watery for mine, but it's in the list. M is for, maybe it's time for an egg. N is for, no thanks, I've just had 3 eggs. And O is for, oh, all right then, no, I will have 1 more egg. P is for peas. You can have a lot of those. Q is for quiche. You make yourself sick if you have too many eggs. R is for rice, a lovely cheap staple if you're sick of pasta, which you shouldn't be eating according to this list. S is for soft-boiled eggs. Why should hard-boiled eggs have all the fun? Let that yolk run, baby. T is for tomatoes, my favorite vegetable. I won't hear anything else said about it. U is for unsalted nuts. Nuts are great for you. It's the salt that'll get you. A handful of nuts a day, that'll give you a lot of essential oils. But a handful of salt, it'll make you quite sick. V is for vegetables. You've got to eat your vegetables. Why not start with a tomato? W is for water. It's not a food, but it is undeniably a drink. X is for eggs. Y is for why not have another egg? And Z is for Zodiac, as in Piers Morgan is the Zodiac killer.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the wonderful Guy Montgomery. How good was that? Thank you, Guy. Thank you so much. I don't want you to look at the chat or the Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Stu Goldsmith, Guy, because it is just a bunch of English people laughing at your accent and then pronouncing it, writing words what they consider to be phonetically. But let's assume they're doing that because they're loving the content so much.
You've got to imagine so, yeah? Oh, I'd much rather sound like this. Life would be a breeze if I walked around sounding like this all the time.
And that is genuinely how they think we sound. Joy, thank you for coming. Are you promoting anything? Have you got any further podcast endeavors?
I do actually. The thing I'd most specifically like to promote is a subset of the podcast. A couple of years ago, Tim and I were lucky enough, we got to make an off-air pilot for our podcast concept for YouTube Red, the now defunct streaming platform. Remember the halcyon days of YouTube Red? Yeah, they changed to something else.
Okay.
But we got given a pretty decent chunk of Google money to make a visual adaptation of the podcast. And we did. We invented something called method film reviewing. We argue that no film has been reviewed accurately before because no film reviewer has gone to the same lengths as the great actors to really understand the text. And so to review a movie, you have to eat, sleep, live, breathe the movie. So we moved into an abandoned New York City subway station. We ate only pizza. And for 5 days, we watched and reviewed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows to deliver the first ever method film review. The pilot has been released on YouTube. We put it out about a week and a half ago. So if you look up worst idea of all time pilot, you'll find it. I think it's, I stand behind it. I think it's so fun and funny. So if you've got 25 spare minutes at any point in your lives, please check it out. Thank you so much for having me, Stuart. It's been an absolute blast, and thanks everyone.
Oh, thank you, Guy. Everybody give it up for Guy Montgomeery. What an absolute champion. And Guy, just before you go, I just want to point out that H2O Sarah on the Twitch chat says, absolute payback to every non-British person who's had their accent made fun of. You all deserve it. So with that in mind, Godspeed, Guy Montgomeery.
Thank you so much.
What a wonderful thing that was. Oh my God. Is anyone else in the mood for an egg? Ladies and gentlemen, there are some things I'm supposed to say now, but let's cut to the chase. Donate at infinitesofa.com. I'm sorry to treat this like a telethon, but what happens is certainly on some of the platforms that we've got analytics for, people flit in, watch a bit, and we hope they stay. But just on the off chance you've got other things to do or other streams to watch or snooker, then by all means, shut up. By all means, go to, I'm not even listening, infinitesofa.com. Go to infinitesofa.com and you can, infinitesofa.com, calm down, Stu, it's your show, you can do what you want. Like Jonathan Holloway isn't even there. So what you can do is go to infinitesofa.com and you can donate to be in with a chance of being on the sofa. It's genuinely random. It occurred to me that I could rig it, but it's actually impossible to do that from this end. So it is genuinely random. And remember, coming up on Monday next week is James Acaster having his mind read by Nick Mohammed. We are also going to see Katie Pritchard, Mike Kaplan, and the incredible roving artist who's going to be doing some silhouettes for us as well. So let's just quickly go to Janine. Janine, you look, simply because you've got... Now, I was just going to make the point that because you're better lit now, because you're by a window, I thought the technology and Wi-Fi was working better. And I tried to spotlight you. As I did that, it failed, and I realized that that concept doesn't make any sense. Not the case. Good lighting means good Wi-Fi, so I can only apologize. Janine, what are you going to do with your newfound... well, I mean, do you feel free under the lockdown? How is Brisbane for lockdown? Such a good screen grab. I'm just going to leave it there for a minute.
I am currently...
Sorry. Okay, here's what I'm going to have to do. What we're going to have to do, I'm going to talk over you because I know you're going to catch up with my audio in a second. This is like the interminable WhatsApp conversations I have with my dad who lives in Spain. I'm going to need to say in one breath without pausing all of the things I say, and then there's going to be a 5-second lag while we all look at each other, and then you can reply to all of them in turn, okay? So here's the entire thing. How is it in Brisbane? Are you happy? Are you enjoying the show? Have you got a question for Shappi Khorsaandi? Let's enjoy a 5-minute lag while you answer all 4 of those things. Go.
Okay. In Brisbane, it's not as bad as in the UK. I live by myself and I'm struggling in a social butterfly normally with the isolation. I am entertaining myself by trying to work out how to make my little sister's 40th birthday super special in May. And I don't have a particular question for your next guest. And I am doing a lot of cooking and I'm going to learn how to use a sewing machine.
I'm going to assume that you're wrapping up now and first in, so from your point of view, it's the right way round. And then as I'm saying that, I'm going to realise that that's mad because we're listening to it this way round and all I've done is interrupt you for the sake of the show. What a joy. Thank you so much for coming and do stick around. Apologies to everyone that this is the most technically difficult show we've had. And also further apologies that when it became clear that as I multiply spotlit Janine and couldn't get her video to go on, I then decided to cut to David Hoare looking that way for a laugh. As we all listened to Janine, David did precisely this. Ooh, and that was it. A magical moment, and even if Janine couldn't see it, I'm glad she got to be part of it. So I know that Janine, we can't see you, but we have come, ladies and gentlemen, to the end of the show. Before I welcome our final guest. It just behooves me to briefly go to the chat. Shappi hour time, says Mr. Hardacre. And Dave Nats is popping a couple of tackles in advance. The lag for her will be half the time that we see, because the lag we see also includes the return journey. Hell, Dave. Brilliant. This is like a conversation I had, says Funky Junkie, with a robot version of my nan. Not very kind, Funky Junkie. I suggest you stop listening to funk and stop taking so much heroin. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for our celeb interview. So would you please welcome, as I slowly build up to it, giving her more than enough time to unmute herself and stop hiding her video. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Shappi Khorsaandi? Hey, Shappi.
Janine, I love you. You're like, I haven't got a question for your next guest. Whatever her name was.
Oh, bless. Shappi, how are you doing? It's so great to see you. We met again briefly, not met, but saw each other briefly in the tech, but not enough to catch up with. You're isolating with your children. How is your life? How are your kids? How are you?
I'm all right. I think I'm all right. I'm learning a lot about housework. I'll be really honest with you. I've not really done it before. I'm not being all hoity-toity, but I'm a working single mum and I'm away from home a lot. And who knew that you could extend the vacuum cleaner cord? I kept unplugging it and then moving it. Yeah, there are all sorts of different ways you can do that, and also
Shappi, just to say, to interrupt, sorry, that is very like when I ask my wife where the iron is kept and she looks at me. It's one of those dead giveaways. You can't get away from it. I should point out as well, for the sake of my fabulous and charming wife, interesting for some reason, but I should just shut my fucking mouth. That neither of us do any ironing, so it's nothing personal.
Yeah, so I was in a bit of a panic at first, and also, you know what it's like. You're a comic, you're traveling all the time. I'm a single mom, and I always have lots of childcare and family helping me. So my dogs arrived, family helping me and stuff, and so like kids eat like 3 meals a day.
It turns out.
Yeah, you just can't throw seed through the top. You have to feed them. And they've been amazing, because in the first week, I completely. Sorry, it's my dog. Good.
I would suggest if you're watching this and you are actually insane, simply pretend to have a dog. Oh no, actually, go on. Your dog there, Watson. What is the name of the child?
This is Taylor, who was named after my old nanny who had to move to Canada. I mean, she was Canadian.
You found out the family secrets and had to move to Canada.
Yeah. So, and also what I found in lockdown is, because I've got a dog and 2 cats, and before lockdown I had a dog walker, I had pet-friendly babysitters, and I have to walk this fucker like twice a day. Oh, once a day.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's the internet. You can do what you fucking want.
And also, what happened really early on, because my cat is not used. I've got a tabby cat who's a real hunter, and he isn't used to us all being in the house all of the time. So in the first 2 weeks, the tabby cat killed at least 3 mice a day and brought them home. Every single day, I'd come down and it was like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this is really gross, but what I started to do was just shut the kitchen door and leave the cat to kill the mice, and in the morning it would all be gone because the dog would have eaten it. So
that's a perfect system. It's a perfect system.
She's chilled out now, or she's just killed all the mice in the area. But then, and everyone always goes, "Oh, but they're just getting you a present." It's not a present. That's not true. What I looked this up. What they're actually doing, cats, when they bring home mice, is they're recognizing you as the leader of the pack, and they're teaching you to hunt. So cats notice that I'm not a very good hunter. As if you're not judged enough. So my cat has just been going, doing this disgusting cadaver, and just going, there you go, love. That's how you do it. Why don't you have a go? I've been dealing with all this stuff, and I'm sorry. Let me just let my dog out. Sorry.
Sure thing, yeah, no problem at all. I think just while Shappi oh, there we go, you're back. Shappi,
Yeah, I'm
do I know you well enough? I think I do, to point out that naming your dog after your nanny appears to be batshit crazy.
My ex-nanny wasn't thrilled. That's right. This is the thing. I get really attached to people, and I've realised now I'm not going to be. I'm not ashamed of it. I get way more attached to people than they do to me, and it's okay. And I've realised I've been. I know this is an awful thing to admit, but I rarely watch television, right? But this lockdown, I've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I'm absolutely addicted to it. It's the best thing ever. And there's a character in it called, oh God, what's his name? It's Boyle.
Okay.
There's a character called Boyle.
I know who you mean.
Who's super needy, and he joins WhatsApp groups and just messages too much and irritates her. And I was like, that is me. That's okay. And he's got like this best mate called Jake in the precinct. If you don't watch it, you should. Taylor, here. And he's just really needy.
Sorry, were you addressing the nanny at that point?
My nanny, I don't have a nanny anymore. Our nanny left and went to Canada or Australia or something. She went away. She might still be there. I don't know. It's so
One of
huge.
the ones that ends in A. They're all sort of roughly the same.
But no, she left us, and we were really sad because she couldn't get the right visa to stay, and I was really sad. The real reason we called her Taylor is because the kids were squabbling over me and the kid. I wanted Audrey, my son wanted Indy, my daughter wanted Coco or something, I can't remember. And so I went, do you know what, we're just going to name it Taylor after our Taylor, because it's a Canadian golden retriever.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Am I right in thinking that you are the only adult in the house?
I'm the only adult in the house,
And-
which is why when I do things like this, I just massively overshare, and I don't know when to. I don't know if you heard that. Oh, God. So sorry. The whole time I was watching, the whole time you guys were speaking before I came on, the dog was good as gold. Now she's gone out and joined a pack. On the gang of ne'er-do-wells. Taylor, here go. In that time, because you're here, and I'll be like, Taylor, come in. Who's my good girl? Who's my good girl? The other day, she came in. Hold on.
Just while Shappi's dealing with Taylor, I just want to point out how much I'm loving it that whenever Shappi's about to say something indiscreet, she leans forwards as if the internet can't hear her.
Hey, listen. Grandma's been learning about the internet. It is mad. I've been learning all sorts of stuff about the internet. I am, because it's really strange being the only adult. I do bump into neighbours. I live in a really close-knit area. Like, we all know each other, we're all friends. And I do bump into neighbours sometimes. Quick, furtive chat, and then you go. But I have to say that I'm glad I'm single. I don't know how I would have coped with this with any of the people I've ever dated.
That is interesting, because there must be people in the up and down the country must be having that kind of conversation with themselves. Which single people, which of my former partners could I have coped with this best, or none?
None of them. I'm having enough trouble coping with myself. I met one of my mummy friends in the park today. She said to me, "Oh, I mean, it's awful, and I can't, I can't let my husband near me because I think, well, I was trapped with you already." It's really weird. And also, I don't know about the rest of you, but this enforced time of being isolated, it kind of makes you look at your life decisions and what you want. And even before isolation, I was like, I don't want to go out with anyone ever again. And in isolation, I've been thinking, yep, I was absolutely right. It's not the right person hasn't come along. It's like I'm not made to be in a relationship, and it's so cathartic to truly. And I've tried you've known me for years, Stuart. I have tried every shape, every gender, everything. I've tried everything. It just isn't. It doesn't suit me. It's can't. I just would rather get attached to random people who then escape to Canada because.
Coming up later, Shappi's going to be telling us about the other animals in her house and who they're named after. I'm sad to say that's all we've got time for. We've got to fit in a very quick game with the audience. You're more than welcome to stick around with that. We're just very quickly going to play hide and seek, Shappi. Would you like to join us in a quick round of hide and seek?
I'd love to.
So here we are. The rules are you are only allowed to hide within the frame of what your webcam is currently looking at. So please be creative.
I'm wearing pajamas on my bed.
Yes, you can hide behind me.
Yeah, you can absolutely. You can hide behind other people if there are people there. If there are no people there, you can attempt to hide behind paintings, objects behind you. You're not allowed to leave the frame of what the webcam can see. And obviously this is impossible, but just be creative and have some fun with it. I'm going to close my eyes and count to 10 and then say coming ready or not. I'm incredibly impressed to see that Matthias has always is amazing. But here we are then, ladies and gentlemen. A quick game of hide and seek. And while they're hiding, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching via infinitesofa.com or on twitch.tv/Stuart Goldsmith, just to remind you that you can donate for a chance to be on next Thursday's show at 8 p.m. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. It's Monday, next Monday's show at 8 p.m. with James Acaster, Nick Mohammed, Mike Kaplan, Katie Pritchard, and a roving artist. And also thank you to those people who subbed and donated during the show. David Shutter, Philip Little, Ian Quinn, Moz, Lady Nutmeg, GSV Ethics Gradient, what a name, and Nick. And also GSV Ethics Gradient tipped £5 saying better than snooker. 10. Let's see how everyone's done. Absolutely fantastic work there from David Hoare. Over there, James W, barely visible, very good. I haven't seen Matthias for ages and I'm starting to worry. Shappi is presumably left in order to go and find the dog. Leslie has managed to very artfully absolutely cover her entire camera. I think over here, if we look, Jonathan Holloway is doing something genuinely impressive with a green screen of Guernica, which I don't know if he knows that be happening. And over here, we can see that Kirsty has hidden behind, well, I'm guessing she's hidden behind friend of the show, Nick Goody. Hello, Nick. But who knows? No, she's absolutely not there. This is phenomenal play. Is there anyone I can actually see? Sam, found you. About all I can find. Great work from Roz. And just to close off the show, James B has disappeared brilliantly there. Welcome back, James. Everybody apart from Ian, reveal yourselves. Very good. Excellent work, everyone. You've done really well. And we're finishing the show with sad. What I'd like you to do now, ladies and gentlemen, if you are at home, I'm going to go back to spotlight Ian's empty room. I'm going to ask you to take a screen grab of it, and then using MS Paint or equivalent, I'd like you to play Spot the Ball with where you think Ian is hiding. Take the JPEG file and send it in to info@comedianscomedian.com, and you could win the chance to be on the sofa next week. Attach it to some Bitcoin or something. Ian, would you please reveal yourself? I don't think I'm alone in hoping that Ian was going to actually pop up from somewhere else, having episode to think he'd definitely be in the club. Fantastic work, everybody. All I would like to say to finish the show off, can you give a huge round of applause to all of my guests? You saw Matt Ricardo, Kirsty Newton, Shappi Khorsaandi, Guy Montgomery. Matt Ricardo is going to return and give us an incredible finale stunt. But first, I would just like to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. Like a lot of self-employed people and almost all comedians, my live work has dried up and vanished in the pandemic. And as someone who for over 20 years has studied the art of gathering people together, getting them in a place and making them all happy at once, read into that what you will, to find out that that is no longer legal illegal and certainly it's unethical, it's a pretty sure sign that the universe wants me to keep my mouth shut. And to the universe, I say this: get fucked. To Callum, and to a far lesser extent, David Hoare, have spent every week of lockdown devoting the show to be the warmest, happiest place, to be available online, to be the opposite of isolation, to bring everyone together and to make us feel good. In many ways, it's a relief and refreshing to have such a clear mission statement. Fuck art, let's party. But we can only do it with your help. You can like the show, you can subscribe the show on whatever platform you're watching, you can share the show around the place, you can donate to it, you can tell human beings about it in the real world, presumably over the phone or the internet, and you can donate actual money. Most people who've been donating have very kindly been paying £5 or £10, but the people who can afford to pay that subsidise the people who can't. And if you donate any amount at all, you can be one of the people on the sofa next week. Remember, if all you want to do is to turn up and watch the show and enjoy yourself, that is beautiful too. And I will take that enjoyment and attempt to feed it to my hungry children. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Mr. Matt Ricardo, to close the show with something genuinely amazing. Here is Matt Ricardo.
Hello again. So, with this pandemic, the thing that you keep hearing is, well, it's a really good chance to learn a new skill.
Oh, fucking hell.
So I've been doing that.
Jesus.
Wow. Wow.
The thing about this pandemic is, and I hate to use the word over and over, but the pandemic is that the longer it drags on, the more chance there is that you slip from a place of productively learning a new skill to something a little less healthy.
Whoa.
What I'm trying to say at this point is I'm fine.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, gross.
Oh no.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking the incredible Matt Ricardo. Holy shit. Matt, I just want you to know it took every ounce of my composure not to read out a comment from the from the chat, which just before you started the blindfold one, Mr. J.R. Hardegg has said, clearly he's fine. And I
Fine.
John Daintree says, has he stopped? Hi Min says, Kinnell. Can't watch, says Maggie. Yay, clap, clap, clap. Bloody hellfire, says Philip Little. Yay, woo, woohoo, and things like that. Thank you so much, Matt. That was absolutely brilliant. Would you like to tell us quickly where we can find your blog?
Yeah, my blog is at mattricardo.com. Follow me at Matt Ricardo on Twitter and Instagram, and stay safe.
Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you so much. What a wonderful show. That's it, everybody. Thanks for coming. If you would like to join us in the virtual green room, if you have ever been to the show, or certainly from last week, and Janine, Callum, can we send Janine an invite to the virtual green room? We'll see if her Wi-Fi fares slightly better in there. Anyone that donates gets access to the virtual green room. It's a fascinating piece of technology that we've lifted from the internet, where you control a little avatar that can run around. You can have conversations with people near you. When you walk away from them, their audio and video disappears, so that you can actually have little breakout groups and what have you. It's lovely. We're going to be in there. If you've been sent the link, it's that link. If you were in the show on Monday, it's that link again. I'll see you all in there. Donate and subscribe and link and share and do all of those lovely things. And that's it from us. Give it up for, I should also credit David Hoare, who's been, let's give a little round of applause for David Hoare, who's been being there he is. That's what he looks like. And over here, we can see a very impressive still of our producer, Callum Morin. I can't spotlight him because he's not there, but if you look on gallery view, you can see a very cool picture of him with a camera. So thank you to producer Callum as well. I've been Stuart Goldsmith. Let's keep this being brilliant. Coming up later in the next couple of weeks, we've got Ramesh Ranganathan, Sarah Millican, Elf Lion, Susie Ruffle, Randy the Puppet. Come here all the time. Stay here. We're going to have a fantastic time. Thank you. Goodbye. Mwah.